Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Ryan Newman, and today I will be previewing Oregon's 2022 season. The Ducks have a new head coach, of course. Mario Cristobal left to go take the Miami job, and the Ducks have hired Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning, who led one of the best defenses in recent memory, carried them, the Georgia Bulldogs, to a national title. And, walking into Oregon, I think he's walking into a pretty darn good situation. Cristobal, he recruited very well, so he's not leaving the cupboard empty whatsoever, bringing in the best classes usually in the Pac-12. So I think Dan Lanning's got quite a bit to work with. So this team, 2022 Oregon, should still be one of the favorites in the conference. So let's touch a little bit on the offense here. 8 starters return, including the entire offensive line, which should definitely be the strength of this offense. They got a couple of legit NFL prospects on it. The receiving core, a bit of a question mark. It's going to be pretty young after losing a couple of key players, but they're going to be talented, though. I like their slot receiver, Chris Hudson. He's in line to have a pretty big year. The two kind of wild cards for me are Troy Franklin and Dante Thornton. Both of them were true freshmen last year, got their feet wet, but they were both very, very highly recruited, top 100 guys. So yes, they don't quite have the numbers to back it up yet, but they could be in for big years. They could lead this offense to maybe some new heights because they do have a ton of potential. Moving on to the running backs, Travis Dye is gone, CJ Verdell is gone. Both are losses. Travis Dye is a pretty significant loss. He was a key cog for them. But I do believe that they have some decent pieces still there. So, and with a good offensive line in front of them, I do think the ground game will be okay, even though they do lose a couple of nice running backs. So the question, of course, for this offense, to me, who's going to be the quarterback and how effective are they going to be? Anthony Brown, he graduated, and he was all right for the Ducks, but he did have some inconsistency. So, maybe some new blood isn't necessarily the bad thing for Oregon here. They have former 5-star Ty Thompson's there. Jay Butterfield's back as well. Those are the two guys returning. But they are bringing in a transfer, Auburn transfer, Bo Nix. He was a 3-year starter there. Up and down for 3 years, well, but mainly kind of like this. He was average for 3 years. But who knows? Maybe a better situation, maybe the Pac-12, new coaches. Who knows? Maybe it can kind of click for Bo Nix. And Bo Nix is probably going to be my pick to be the starting quarterback in game one. He's just got the experience and feels like they're bringing him in for a reason. And I think he'll do all right there. I really do. Behind that experienced offensive line, I do think that he'll put up some decent numbers. But now let's move on to the defense here. And the defense, I think it's going to be better than last year. They're bringing back 7 starters. And this is Dan Lanning's specialty, of course. He just did such a great job at Georgia. Even though they do lose Kayvon Thibodeaux, who was a top 5 pick, I believe, of the Giants, I still think that front seven is going to be really good. Strength of the defense. The leader of that group has got to be Noah Sewell. He had 114 tackles last year, 4 sacks. He's a beast, so he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Brandon Dorlus and Popo Aumave are tough up front, so they're hopefully going to kind of help lessen the impact of losing Thibodeaux. Around Sewell at linebacker, they have a lot of options, really. Justin Flo, question mark. He was a former 5-star. Maybe he breaks out this year, which hopefully he will. He was a huge recruit. DJ Johnson, he's a talented edge player, but hasn't quite put it together yet. Masai Funa, 3 years of experience, solid player, so he's going to help the depth there. But just overall, there's some talent there. There's some depth. I think the front seven is going to be pretty darn good. Secondary, whereas I believe they have some more questions, and they're probably going to regress after losing some key pieces back there, including kind of the leader of the defense, Ron McKinley. He's a big loss, but they're bringing a transfer from Colorado, Christian Gonzalez. He's got a pretty good shot to earn a starting role right out of the gate. Steve Stevens at safety returns, as does Jamal Hill, in kind of that nickel type role, most likely for him. So I even though the secondary might drop a little bit, I think the front seven's still going to be so strong that it'll help it out a little bit. Definitely think this will be a strong unit overall. So a little bit of preview of the offense-defense there. Now let's take a look at the schedule. My final prediction for the team. Off the gate, right out of the bat here, it's a tough one. They're going to be huge underdogs. I think it's about 17 right now. They're underdogs against Georgia in Atlanta. that's, I got to predict a loss for that one. Sorry, Oregon. It's just, it's too much of an uphill climb to beat Georgia. So it starts off 0-1. They got Eastern Washington. They'll get right there. Coming to Eugene, so they'll get a W right there. BYU. This is a tough one, the third game. I'm very high on BYU this year. I think they're an experienced group. Number one in returning production off of a team that was already good. I believe they won 10 games last year. Really like the quarterback, Jaron Hall. So they're not going to be intimidated going to Autzen Stadium. I think this team is battle tested. I think they're ready to go. I'm saying BYU is going to go on the road and get a win in Autzen Stadium. So 1-2 for Oregon so far. At WSU, at Washington State, that's always a tough one on the Palouse. It's not going to be easy, but I'll take Oregon there. Stanford comes to Oregon. Stanford should be an improved team. They do return a ton of production as well, but they're still a bit of ways away, I think, talent-wise overall from Oregon. So got to give the edge to the Ducks there. It's a win. At Arizona, I like what Jed Fish is doing down there in Tucson. He's recruiting well. He's got some nice transfers coming in, so they're going to be an improved team, but that's just a tall task for them to compete with the Ducks. So win for the Ducks there. UCLA's coming into town next. Chip Kelly got a solid team returning. The offense should be pretty good, led by DTR once again. But they have a lot of question marks on that defense. They lose a ton of production there. Transfers, if they hit, could work out, but I'm a little bit skeptical about it. So I'll take the Ducks with the win there. At Cal, Justin Wilcox just doesn't have the horses to compete here, so Ducks win another one. Then I got at Colorado. This is maybe the worst team in the Pac-12 this year. That's at least what I'm predicting. Carl Durrell probably won't last much longer there in Boulder, so easy win for the Ducks. UW, Washington is next. They got a new head coach, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and I think he'll do well there. But it's just a tall task to win their first one at Oregon. Not sure how the offense will look. I'm sure it'll improve, but got to go with the Ducks there. Utah, this was Oregon's nemesis last year. Utah got them in the championship game. I like Utah again. I do. They return a lot on offense. They do have some key pieces they lose on defense, but it's Utah. I mean, they always sport a good defense no matter who they lose. So I trust Kyle Whittingham to have them ready again, and I'll take Utah with the win on that one. And then at Oregon State, this is one where it's a trip up, man. I think this is a really tough one for Oregon. It was a good game last year, at least somewhat competitive towards the end, and there was a lot was on the line. The Pac-12 North was on the line. The Beavers do return their quarterback and a decent amount of production around him. I think the defense is actually going to take a little bit of a jump for them. So I'm going to say they do it. The Oregon State upsets the Ducks in Corvallis. Huge win for Jonathan Smith and company. So overall, that's an 8-4 record. 7-2 in Pac-12 play, which they're not doing divisions this year, so it's just the two best records in the conference will go to the Pac-12 title game. 7-2 should likely get them in, which I going to the Pac-12 title game. I think it'll be another rematch between Utah and Oregon, and I probably favor Utah again, maybe, but that's always tough to beat somebody twice in the same season. But that's my prediction, 8-4, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You think I'm too high on them? You think I'm too low? Maybe some people I'm missing, maybe some breakout stars. Just give me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.